morning, Shinigami people. Bright and early with a video because I got a lot of shit to do today, and this is first on the shit list. I'm making this video specifically for one of my very good friends, Creeping Freely, because this is something that every 3D printer person is going to want to know, and I don't know that I've seen a lot or any video content on this specific subject. It's something that every single 3D printer ever is going to run into if you use resin printing, and that is, you done busted a hole in your fab. So part of the way that the 3D printing works is you have two surfaces. You have the thing that holds the liquid, which that's what this thing is here. This is the vat. This is the FEP. And then what happens is you have a plate, and the plate is where the print sticks. So the plate is metal, the plate is rough. So if you scratch your metal plate, that's actually usually even better, because that makes it a rougher surface for the print to stick, because you don't want the print sticking to this. This is where the light comes through. It's clear, as you can see. It's also very smooth, and it needs to stay very smooth. Over time, wear and tear will happen, then it becomes less effective. And over time, you're going to start to get little divots, you know, that you should probably take that as a hint to like consider changing it soon, because if you don't, the next thing's going to happen, and it'll happen to everybody. So, you know, I don't know anybody who hasn't just eventually torn it because they didn't change it in time, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, the reason I'm having to do this today is like I put it off, and I can't put it off any longer because there's a hole in it. So like, see if I can capture it on film there. I think you can actually see it. That's actually a hole. I mean, it's plugged with resin, but that's a hole. Let me see if I can actually, I wonder if I can stick something in the hole just to show that it is physically. I don't have anything. I don't have a needle on my hand. Sweet, do I just don't want to get too sidetracked here, but I was just going to show you. I show you there's a tiny little hole there. Anyway, so back to the subject here. I printed some parts, which I'm very excited about this print that I'm working on right now. I got 3 real good pieces, and then I got one that completely failed. So I knew something was up, and like, man, did this print crispy. This is gonna be a separate video. I'm very excited. It's a new combination of resin that I'm using right now that is so fucking durable. Anyway, back to the video subject. One piece failed. I knew something was up, and then when you have a fail, you know that you're probably going to have, especially with that kind of fail where some things print and the other thing does not. So you know that the shit ran, you know that it flashed light, you know that it reacted to some resin. So what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a failed print stuck to the FEP. You know, it may be stuck to it, or in this case, it punched a hole. So what probably happened here is like I didn't do a good enough job cleaning the resin at one point in time, because when you have a fail, you're supposed to run your resin through a filter to get little particles of failed stuff out of it. And if you don't get every single little bit, sometimes you'll have little floating particles, and those little floating particles, if they get smashed between the plate and the FEP, they can punch a hole. I think that's what happened here. It's what very often happens. And you know, the next thing you got to do is make sure that, you know, this is obviously going to have to be replaced, because, you know, it's not sealed. Resin's going to run out. So we're going to do that today. That's an activity. The next thing we need to do is we're going to go downstairs real quick, and we're going to look at my printer, and we need to verify, well, I need to clean the shit off of the printer, because I took it off there and I could see some resin on the LCD. And that's like the first dead giveaway that you definitely have a hole, is when you see cured resin on your LCD, it fucking leaks. And that's when you know, like, definitely there's a hole, because sometimes you don't know if there's a hole, and that's what you know for sure there's a hole, if there's resin on the other side. We're going to have to check and make sure that the pressure didn't damage the LCD, which, knock on wood, hopefully it did not. Even if it did, the LCDs can be replaced, but hopefully that won't be today's activity. It won't be today's activity. I don't have money for an LCD right now. But anyway, we're going to go downstairs. We're going to clean the resin off of the LCD. We're going to run a test on the LCD to make sure that it isn't busted, that it works accurately. In that case, we know we can come back here. We can swap this FEP out. We're going to do that in the video so I can show you all how to do it without any issues. And then we should be back rocking and rolling printing. So this is part 1. I'll be back with you as soon as we get downstairs. And we are back. I went ahead and I brought my printer in the kitchen just for better lighting. I run it in my garage because it's very dimly lit and safe for a reason. But you can very obviously see that there is some cured resin on this LCD. There's a way I recommend cleaning this off with the little amount of issue. I don't know that you're ever going to get like 100% perfect, but basically what you want to do is there are these little plastic razors, and I think they're made for cleaning glass. You can get a huge box of them on Amazon for like $5. It'll last you until the end of time. But you're basically going to use that plastic razor and some alcohol to clean this off. So that's the next step I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to get as much of this crap off as possible. And then we're going to show you the test to verify that you didn't bust your LCD. All right, and we are back, and you can see there is no longer resin on this screen. This is about as good of a clean off as I've ever done. This is the plastic razor I'm talking about. You'll know it when you see it on Amazon. It is exactly what you think it is. But you're going to get it and the little chips. And I wish I could do it hands-free, but I don't have that shit. So, but you're essentially going to you want to make sure you're not pressing into the glass, because this is softer than the glass, but just to make sure you don't have any concerns about scratching it, you're wanting to basically get in between the dried resin and the LCD and lift it, because this is not like a porous material. Like, there is definitely a separation between the resin and the glass, and you just have to keep gently shimmying around the edges, and eventually it will pop off. And you just get as much of the solid chunks off as you can get. There will probably be a little bit of what looks like kind of residue left, and you know that if you can run your razor across it and you feel it there, that it may cause a print issue. So you want to get that remaining little bit left. Now, what I'm using as a solvent to clean this off is the same solvent I use in everything resin printing, which is 90-ish% alcohol. So once I get it down to pretty good, I then go with my 90% alcohol, and I get a rag damp with it. Don't spray alcohol directly on your electronics, by the way. Put it on a rag and then wipe. But for this last phase, I get my paper towel damp, and I soak it, not like sopping wet, but moist with 91 alcohol, and let it sit for a minute and hold some pressure on it. And then I kind of go back and I just slide this back and forth gently, and not blade down, blade at an angle, to get the last little bit of crud off there, because the alcohol will kind of dissolve it a little bit. And you are now left with a clean LCD. So then the next step in this process is we're going to do a UV detection test that will tell us if our LCD was cracked or not. And we'll be right back with that. All right, welcome back to the next segment of the show. The next thing you want to do is have a piece of paper over your LCD screen. And the reason you do that is you're not only looking at to make sure it makes the right shape for the test, which on this one should be a hollowed out rectangle, but you're also looking at the kind of quality of the light coming up out of it. Because if it looks kind of stippled, or you're going to see easier on a piece of paper than looking on the screen. So this is the way I've been shown, and I like this way. So we're going to go into, I think, tools or system, I don't remember. Yep, I think it's under detection next. And let's see what we got. Hey, looking good as shit. Now, I know you saw what maybe you thought looked like a little stippling, but I just want to clarify. That looked okay. That looked fine. Run it one more time, and yeah. Well, fuck you then. Might try exposure too. Just look at it for 10. Wait. I'm just curious to see what this does. Just want to fuck around with it and see. Yeah, that's looking good as shit. But these are just little tests. I think it's gonna go for 10 seconds or something. But again, you're seeing this is definitely a good UV screen. You are good. I know this sounds kind of vague in my explaining what happens here, but I'm gonna tell you what I told Jay the other day is that if you do this and you're like, I'm not sure if it's good, it's good. You will know for sure if it has shit the bed. It will look very not good. I don't know how to describe it other than you'll see a broken pattern. It'll look like, I don't know if you've ever busted an old calculator screen back in the day. That way it would look where it kind of looks like leaked and cracking and shit. That's kind of how it will look when it's not good. You will know. So that's good. That means we get to move on to the next step, which is replacing the FIP. I'll be right back. And we back. Am I on? Oh yeah, we're on. Anyway, so another thing too is I hope you have hex wrenches, because you need hex wrenches for everything 3D printing. I actually have a toolkit from iFixit from my phone repair days that has some hex bits in it. So just a quick overview of what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this thing apart, right? And then we're gonna clean it out real good and get any excess resin out and any potential chunks of fail, just so we don't have to deal with this shit all over again. But essentially what you do with this, I get these that are not scored. You can get them scored, and I guess it's easier, but it ain't that big a deal to me, because I don't know if I can get scored ones for the Mono X. It's a huge thing, so it's just cheap to get these and easy, and I think I got them off of Amazon. And you essentially you put it in there, and you're going to puncture it with the screws. That's what bites it in. And I mean, other than the fact it's punctured. You know, it's on there. It's makes a nice drum noise, so you know it's tight. But that's what it'll end up as. And it's like, we're gonna take this shit apart. We're gonna clean it all out. We're gonna clean it with alcohol, get any resin off, and then we're gonna go in reverse. So it's basically, what you got here is you got these big ass screws. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You got 14 of these big bastards. And then the FEP itself is actually attached to this metal rim with these screws that are in reverse, and that's what punctures through the first time at least. So you get them out, and then you got like, I don't know, like there's a 15 to 20 of them shits on the other side that are a smaller diameter. I gotta get a different one. But we're gonna go ahead and walk through that now. And I mean, like, I can definitely see by this video, if I'm gonna keep making content, I need some kind of like thing to hold my phone. Cause like, I wanna be able to show more of this shit to y'all as I do it like this. And I'm literally doing this on the back of a old Gundam box because any stray resin will hit this box. I mean, there shouldn't be a lot of resin at this point because I clean the shit out of it, and you better clean the shit out of it. Resin gets everywhere, and it gets and irritates your skin like sand for Anakin in the Star Wars. So don't get that shit on you. God almighty, this son of a bitch is on there. And I might actually need like a real hex with a real bend on it because some of these bitches are on here hard. Let me go grab that right now. And sorry if the music's super loud. I need jams while I work, so you know, I guess I'll get sued on this video today, whatever. Alright, let's see if one of these is the right size. And your printer's probably gonna come with these. I mean, I almost guarantee it's gonna come with these. Every printer I ever bought comes with them. Alright, just gotta find the right diameter. Hello. Alright. I wanted to use my screwdriver, but I guess not today. I needed leverage. Some bitch is on there. I mean, it's good. It just means it's tight, you know. Fuck the iFixit toolkit. Don't get an iFixit toolkit for this. Get it if you work on phones. It's good for that. But yeah, like you wash the shit out of your FEP alcohol. So any little resin that's here, it will definitely get absorbed by this cardboard via capillary action, because science. And then like literally just go leave this lid in the sun for like 30 seconds, and then any resin that come off of this is done. It's not on your table. It's not getting on your arms. It's not getting on your fingers, and you rub your eye. You know. There's always one that wants to fight. Like I have other hex wrenches too. Like I got one of those ones that's on like a Swiss Army blade kind of handle, and it honestly fucking sucks. Like these are still gonna be the best for leverage, and these little cheap pieces of crap that come with stuff. Just always keep your hexes that come with everything. At this point, you think I would have been smarter and like I have like, I don't know, 60 or 70 hexes in there and separated out. I only use like 3 or 4 for my printer, but I haven't got to a point where it irritated me enough to actually do that. But rest assured, I know my brain and that day will come. These are all the same size, by the way, so you don't gotta worry about what specific ones going in specific places. On my resin or on my filament printer, that's definitely not the case. You gotta like try to keep them organized the way that they came out of stuff. But yeah, I was almost hella bummed last night with this situation because like I'm working on that T-Rex, and I've been like, ever since that preview from Artisan Guild, I've been so ready to just hop on that ASAP. And I was like, I hunted for my FEP film, and I'm like, I don't know where it is in my stuff. And as you know, I'm very organized usually, but I didn't have this in the 3D printing drawer, so I'm like, fuck. I'm like, am I gonna have to order more? And I don't have money for it now. But I got up this morning and I like kind of tore my supply area apart and found where they fell behind one of my drawers. So, and because I looked on my my Amazon, and I'm like, I know that I ordered more than one, and it was indeed a 5-pack. Lesson learned. When I get done with this, the other 3 sheets now are going back in the 3D printing drawer, so we don't have another one of these fiascos. I'll probably take a brief pause to run this to the sink and spray it with alcohol. Other than that, I'm gonna video this whole process because I can. Jesus Christ. Okay, there's more than one that will fight you today. Alright. And then this bitch gonna come out. Bloop. This is gonna get set in a side, set somewhere, not here. And then look at that. There's them other ones I told you about. Remember them little shits I told you about? There they are. And yeah, as I remember, they were a different size hex. Hey, right off the rip, first one was the one that fits. Cool stuff. And this is the exact same fucking process. Now you're gonna have two pieces of metal. It's sandwiched between two pieces of metal, just FYI. Can you see that? There's a separator. That's what's, it's like a drum head. If you play drums, this should be very familiar to you. And you take these bitches off, because this is what you do. When you do it in reverse, you're putting that film in between here, and you are literally, you're just putting the screws in there, and it's gonna just puncture it. Actually, no. I had to remember what I did last time. Last time I actually used this hex to punch the hole and then put the screws in. And then after you do that, you're gonna trim the excess with some skizzers. And by the way, since I am gonna be a shithead and play music in my YouTube video, you better yell at me if I don't link the album in the comments. I can't remember who this is, but it's a fire LP from front to back. It'd be like synthwave shit. It's good getting shit done music, as the purists call outrun synthwave. That's my get shit done music very often. But yeah, essentially what I do when I do this in reverse is I put that new sheet in here, and then I sandwich it between the two pieces, and then I'm just like pow with this hex wrench and pop a hole in it. And then at that point, hey, I scored it myself for cheaper, right? Even if it didn't work, let's just say hypothetically it didn't bite enough, I'll just use something sharp in between those holes to punch it, like maybe a tiny screwdriver bit or something. It's not rocket appliances, Ricky. It really isn't. And the other thing I'll show you too, and I'm just telling you before I show you, is there's usually some sort of a protective layer on both sides of the FET that you need to peel off. If you don't know about that and you do this the first time and you don't peel that shit off, and you go do your print and you're like, why is my FET separating? It's because you forgot to peel. You didn't know about peeling off that little like clear sticker that protects it for shipment and whatnot. Because this thing needs to remain very smooth. When you do the cleaning process, you clean it with a microfiber towel. I myself didn't know this, and I used to clean them with a paper towel, and the paper towel would scratch the shit out of this, because essentially, back to what I was discussing earlier, is that this needs to be the non-stick surface, the metal plate needs to be the stick surface, so your print stays on your print plate and not on your FET. So if this thing gets scratched, it's going to more likely bite a print enough. I mean, stuff's going to stick to stuff, don't get me wrong. You'll hear when you're doing a real good print, sometimes you'll even hear a pop when it comes up, because it's popping free from the FET. You know, it's going to stick to it a little bit, but you want that stick to happen as little as possible. And the best way to do that is to keep this thing as baby smooth as possible. And part of that is not scratching it. Scratch your plate all you want. More scratches mean more, texture for the resin to bite. But you don't want that on this piece. But yeah, this is not like this process, anyone who owns a 3D printer needs to know this shit. This is not like I fucked up. This is an eventuality. This is just natural wear and tear of the machine. It's nothing to worry about. It's nothing to panic. It's going to happen to you and everyone who owns one of these machines until somebody develops a new technology that's better, which will probably be next year. Because damn, these things have advanced quick since I started this hobby. And I know you might be like, oh, this is confusing, there's all these holes, but the cool thing is if you look at this, if you can see the the holes that are facing you that the screws need to go back in have a big deep divot, and I think it's that way on the other, yes, it is that way on the other side for the opposite screws, which were a much different size and length. So it's pretty foolproof if you just make sure to pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? God, there is an ass of these little ones. We're barely halfway done with this. Taking the screws out at least. But yeah, man, when I seen that Artisan Guild Dyno set, I about flipped the fuck out. Like, because I've always stayed like loyal to that Patreon because that creator always makes amazing stuff. And like, I don't think I've ever been more excited than when I saw him put that out. I mean, like the House Mora with the Mind Flayers was sick. But this is just phenomenal, and I want to do this I intend to do this whole set, especially with this newer formula of resin. Essentially, I'll go ahead and tell you, because I'll talk while I work here, is I figured out, like, back when I first started printing, I understood the different resins had different properties, and you could mix them to get what you wanted. So, like, I would get a cheaper, more brittle resin, like Soraya Fast, I guess it's called. And if you cut it, it's normally like, it was like 30 a kilo back in the day. There was a Soraya Tenacious, it was like double, it was like 60 a kilo. But that shit is like hard rubber. It is amazing, but it's super expensive. But if you cut the Fast with a little bit of Tenacious, you get a much more durable resin, cheaper, essentially, like, 30% Tenacious with 70% Fast. But since then, I've improved upon that, and the most recent improvement is Anycubic now has what's called an ABS Plus. That's supposed to be like ABS plastic as it prints, so it's already pretty awesome. And I was pretty much considering like saying, hey, I'm just going to use this, I'm not going to mix shit no more. But then out of curiosity, a couple nights ago, I mixed the ABS Plus with the Tenacious, and it's even better. Like those prints that I just showed you, like you could probably sling them at the wall and they wouldn't crack. It is durable as fuck. I would say it's the kind of resin that I could ship to you and have no concern that it's going to break if you bought something from me. So commissions are probably going to be done with that mixture from here forward. So anyway, here's the part where we pause and I go wash that with alcohol. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Now, make sure when you put this shit back together, you kept your bottom and your top together. Watch this whole fucking video before you do this. Don't do what I do and watch videos and do shit and then not realize you need to watch the whole video first. Make sure your bottom piece is down, your big holes are aimed down, right? And then when you put your top layer on, make sure that the divots are facing up so that the screws will bite correctly, because you don't want to be like putting shit together and be like, I fucked it up. And then it's not the end of the world, but it's extra work. So make sure on the bottom plate, your screw divots are aimed down for the big screws. On the top plate, your divots are aimed up for the little screws. Now we're gonna go ahead and check this film. I honestly can't remember. There might not have been shit. Yeah, there is shit on this. I can see it. I can see it with my eyeballs. What I'm trying to make sure is that it's not like several of these stuck together. Also a possibility. Because there's 3 of these fucking things left. There was 5 total. I used 1. Wait, no, there's 4 left. 1, 2. All right. So this actually, I think it's 2 of them stuck together. Cool beans. Anyway, I'm just gonna probe the edges with a blade. Yeah, I think I found the protective shit. You can kind of peel around with it, but if it's fighting you, just use your blade. And I can actually kind of buckle it with my fingers and feel like, oh, there's the fucking Disney magic right there. One piece is gonna obviously be thinner, Let's check the other piece. Yep, there's 2 protective layers. Good stuff. That's exactly what the fuck I needed to see. And the actual stuff is gonna be rigid. And then you're gonna, whoa, it's static electricity. Stick to that shit. You're gonna take your top boy, we'll smack it on there. And let's see if my method will fucking work. And you want to do, like, I don't know if you ever changed a tire, but go your edges first. And also make sure your fat film is in there, because you don't want to punch a hole and be like, oh fuck, I ruined it because I didn't have it lined up good. I mean, there's so much excess. you gotta really not be looking to fuck it up like that, you know what I'm saying? Because there's like an inch around every edge, especially with this Mono X. It's just a huge ass piece. And then you do the opposite corner. Ooh. Take a quick pause break, take a look at your shit, make sure your shit's all lined up on the thing. Looking good, looking good, looking good. All right, opposite corners. Can you tell this is not the first time I've done this fucking shit? Also, by the way, and I know the two people specifically that I made this video specifically for today, I know y'all don't have quite as many screws as I have to deal with because you have a smaller printer. That's a good thing that you started with a smaller printer because it's much less shit to deal with at the expense of not being able to print things quite as big, but it's a good place to start. I recommend beginners start with an average size print plate, not a fucking Mono X or an X2 that can print a football. There's just different issues, like more screws to do during this for one thing. Another thing is you have to deal with retraction speeds and suction, in my opinion, because when you have a larger surface area on a larger thing that you are printing, there's more suction and you might have shit get sucked off the plate just because it's bigger. And then at that plate, you have to fool with retraction speeds and stuff. And I've got my shit tweaked into where I've dealt with that, but you know, that's level 2 learning stuff. You want to do level 1 learning stuff right now if you just got a 3D printer. But yeah, this is just like changing a tire on your car. You just kind of work the edges, just so everything's evenly distributed and the pressure is. Okay, see, I could have just done it this way. I thought before I had done it where I just popped the fucking screw. And yes, you can do that. Just make sure these bad boys are real tight because you want to be able to like tap it when you're done with a wrench and it rings like a drum. There are people that like tune it or whatever, and I ain't never had to do that shit. I mean, it's just a matter that it's tight. It's tight enough to ring when you tap it like a drum ring, then it's fucking tight. And it shouldn't move and fuck up your print. But yeah, the other thing too, and I thought about making a video about this later today because like I know I ain't put out videos lately. I've not felt the need to, and I've been busy with shit too. But I put a pause on the our school's kit because I was kind of hitting an emotional, just kind of meh point with it because it's a lot of steps. And I'm glad that I did it because I needed that excitement that I've talked about before coming to the project table. So we're taking a little project vacation again. I needed it. You just have to trust your gut when your gut says take a project vacation. And it's like, yeah, I did the Shoku kit. And now I'm going back to something I started a year ago, this Serbian kit. And I'll just show you real quick. Essentially, I'm taking what is a smooth kit and I'm making it into like bug exoskeleton, which is pretty gnarly, giving it texture with some jeweler bits. I'll probably do a more detailed video at a later point whenever I feel like it. But I'm going back on that, and also like I'm glad that I waited because I needed to figure out some texture stuff. I knew that with it being biomechanical, I wanted to have some stuff that did not look super smooth and then be able to make textures. And now that I've learned that shit, I'm excited to come back to this because I hit a point with it where I'm like, I don't fucking feel like doing this no more. So now that I've learned the new things, I'm gonna come back to that and wrap that up this week. But like if you're on my Insta, you'll see I did a thing where I call it Cosmic Sludge. where I mix a couple of my mediums together to make this stuff that's like iridescent sludge that looks really cool. It's textured and real shiny and multicolored. I'm gonna apply some of that cosmic sludge under his wings. And again, I'm glad that I paused this, because had I not learned it, I wouldn't have done that technique on the wings. And now that I'm ready to, I know that technique that I've cooked up, I'm definitely gonna do that on this kit, because I looked at other people's builds and the way that they added texture, and I knew I wanted something, but I didn't know how I wanted to pull it off. And now I know, because I made myself a technique for it. That's gonna be fucking dope. And I'm gonna probably slap chop it too. Not just because I'm like in a slap chop everything phase, which I guess I am, but because I wanna do some play with the Zenishift paints on this model too. Because I mean, he's a mech that's like a beetle, and I really want to play on that as hard as possible. So first layer of screws be done. I think we'll go ahead and trim it now. And then I gotta go to my frame. Yeah, I guess you're gonna have to trim it at this point, right? Nothing complicated. Take scissors, cut the excess. Okay. It's gonna get dirty, so don't worry, we're gonna have to clean it off when we get done with the install process. This doesn't have to be super duper neat, just as tight to it as you can, because some excess will be there and it'll be tucked up in the frame, no big. I'm just knocking most of it off at this moment in time. Fucking A. Did I have smaller scissors when I did this last? I don't remember. Just try to do as good as you can and get it as tight as you can, because whatever excess is left is just going to be tucked up under that frame. Man, I swear I fucking got it cleaner than this though. I'll do a little cleanup trim after I get the excess or the most of it off, you know. Maybe I'll use a razor or something. That might not be a bad idea. Let's see. Like I'm tempted, you know, but I also want to factor in a little bit of flex too, so I might not do a razor to clean up my excess. Just try to go in for a round two with the scissors and get most of the shit up off. Probably good enough. Just want to hurry up and get this shit done before my Spotify playlist switches over to like Michael Jackson, and then I get insta-suit. Work against the clock. Alright, so yeah, same process again. Now, I'm not going to tighten it all the way on these first four. I'm just going to get them down in there, because again, I'm kind of like working it back and forth a little bit, just kind of trying to make sure that I get an even tension, and I might be overkilling it a little bit with what I'm doing right now, but whatever, it's what I do, and it hasn't bit me in the ass yet. But essentially, like, the most important thing is your four corners, and then do your individuals. Alright, they're about even now. Now I'm going to go in and tighten this bad boy. Okay, yeah, I guess the excess wasn't really that bad on this. There's like a little bit whoopty shit. I might trim it with the razor blade if I feel like it. Well, we're getting close already. All fucking ready. There's not going to be a lot of fighter resistance at this point. once these are like tight, then you can definitely trim any excess off, because I just want to make sure that there was enough play in here that I didn't cut too much at any point to have like a weakness to where I had a screw hole punch too close to the edge of the plastic. The next thing you'll do after this, that I'm not gonna make a video on because there's like 9 million videos on this, is level your fucking plate again. Just go ahead and do it. Now's a good time to do it. Everything's cleaned off. You got a fresh start. You got a new fit. Level your shit while you got a moment, because leveling doesn't need to be done like that much. You know what I'm saying? But I would recommend doing it once you change your fet plates. A good clean out time to do it. Get your shit right. Come on there, motherfucker. Anything else tighten up here? Stuff will pop loose, so you want to check all your screws, because things have adjusted, things will shift. As this thing gets tighter and tighter. Oh, look at that. Yeah, good stuff. Definitely want this as tight as possible. But you just watch your metal ring, the inner metal ring, it will really be recessed down in there a good amount once everything has sunk in, and you're gonna kind of keep going with this, because like as you get these other ones tight, the other ones will get loose. Again, we're just about done. 'Cause I got other shit to do. Busy fucking day. I got this print. Well, this next print will take 7 hours. That's why I wanted this done first thing, because I want to get to a nice stopping point with this shit. Good to go. You're done. Now go level your printer and print again. You're good to go. That's it. This is the master fucking guide to doing this shit. So enjoy your printing.